So when you joined 1999, how big was the BNP? How big did it become?
Oh, it was tiny. It was very, very small. 2,000 members. Yeah, it was tiny. But to be fair, Nick Griffin did build it up, and in the end, under his leadership, they got 2 seats in the European Parliament, a seat on the London Assembly, 50 elected local councillors around the country. So he did manage to take it from what it was in the 90s, which was pretty hardcore and pretty extreme. He transformed it into a relatively successful electoral political force, but then completely messed it all up in the last year or two.
On Question Time?
Question
was that what year did he go on Question Time?
I think it was 2010.
Okay.
Now the establishment played a blinder because they could see the British National Party rising. They just got 2 seats in the European Parliament, seat on the London Assembly, and they're winning council seats, county council. It was really doing well, and they was becoming a real threat to the establishment. So the establishment played a blinder and said, let's get their leader onto Question Time. Now, at the time, this is one of the big things that made me turn my back on Nick Griffin and the British National Party, amongst some other things. But it was, if you know you're going into that scenario, you do a lot of preparation, you do a lot of simulation, and you go in there swinging. You go in there all guns blazing. You bash your hand.
He looked out of place.
He took the opposite advice, which was from one person. Go in there, look tame, look respectable, because then people will think, oh, the BNP is now, mainstream. And we all watched it. Everyone's watched that episode of Question Time. He went on there. He was squirming. He couldn't get a word in edgeways. He was being, there's people like the Liberal Democrat panellist. He was done shortly after that for something police-wise, but at that time he was claiming feather dusters on his parliamentary expenses. So I said, go in there. If he says one hostile word to you, just point your finger at him and say, I'm not letting you take the moral high ground when you're claiming feather dusters on your parliamentary expenses while pensions freeze. I told him to do all of this and he didn't do any of it.
See, my thing, I remember watching at the time when I was leaving EDL, and I think he got exposed on there as a racist because he was a racist. So I think when given the opportunity on national TV to sit and people question him, he's standing by his own beliefs. That's how I felt.
If he would have gone in there as a man of the people, like Donald Trump, said, I don't care what these politicians say, all I want to do is put British people first, I want British jobs for British workers, put our elderly first, put our veterans first, he would have come out of that a national hero, because 1 in every 3 adults in the whole country was watching. So if he'd have gone in there as a tribune of the people like Donald Trump, he would have come out and he would have been a national hero. Instead, he went in there, done the squirming act, and just looked weak and feeble and unprepared. And from then, you see the BNP's fortunes on the timeline just bang down.
What happened for you from then?
It took a while for that to sink in. I remember as soon as he left the studio.
Was you full time?
I was full-time employee. At that point, I was director of publicity, I think, or communications director.
How old was you?
At that point, I was about 26, 27.
Still young. That's young.
Still very young, yeah. But I remember as soon as he left the Question Time studio, he drove all the way down to my house in Kent to unwind, because I was the nearest house he could go to. So he came there with his security team. We made him all teas and all that. And I said, how do you think that went? Because I was a bit dazed. I was like, what the hell just happened? And he went, it was a bit rough, but I think it was all right. And then the polls came out afterwards, and he clung onto these polls continuously. And the polls were like, people felt sorry for him. Well, look, you're pitching yourself as leader of the resistance, leader of the Great Britain. People don't want to feel sorry for you. They want to follow you. They want a strong leader. So 1 in every 3 adults, 1/3 of the adult population was watching, and he just completely blew it. And I think after that, it just went.
What lengths? I've always been interested, because I know the lengths that the establishment went to hammer and destroy the English Defence League. The English Defence League were a street presence. We weren't testing them electorally, and we weren't a danger to them. What was going on to the British National Party?
I would say,
in those years.
now, you're no stranger, I'm no stranger to hope, not hate, style, subversion.
Yeah.
They pay people money, they get them to, they get them
That's
to
how they got
lie.
the league list.
Yeah,
Obviously.
It's all...
Who got the league list? Do you know?
that was slightly... see, I actually left the BNP, then came back a year or two later, and it was... I just missed that.
Okay.
I joined just after, I rejoined just after. That was a group of disaffected BNP traitors, basically, who tried to split the party. And then they leaked the entire membership list.
Which then stops anyone ever joining again, really.
That's the whole point. They probably was offered a lot of money for that, because that more than anything could have killed the party overnight.
Well,
People say,
I learned from that.
I'm not joining that.
I learned
because
from
my,
that.
because my details will end up in the Sun newspaper.
I learned from that in the sense that I've never allowed anyone other than someone I've grown up with as a child to have access to that list.
Yeah.
Because I know that they can
But that
cause
was
a lot
rough.
of damage.
And that was rough. And this is probably one area, you know, we've got disagreements on certain issues. And one of the disagreements, I would say, is Julian Assange. Because you're always singing his praises. You was locked up with him, I think.
Yeah.
But I think Julian Assange is a total scumbag.
What a traitor.
He's a scumbag. He was the one who leaked the BNP membership list.
I was leaked on his website.
It was WikiLeaks. He leaked it. Now, how are you fighting the state? How are you fighting corruption by leaking the BNP
Do you agree
membership?
with what he did over leaking the illegal and the murder, the attacks that he showed?
Yes.
Do you support that?
Yes, I do.
So you just
But-
don't support the thing he done
No,
against
but-
BNP?
I support him exposing government
Corruption
and misdemeanours, but
and illegal wars.
what he did to the BNP membership was disgusting.
Yeah, because he made all those people a target.
He made hundreds of
Innocent
solid,
people.
decent, innocent patriots, victims. He made people, the left, the media, everyone. So many people, hundreds of people lost their jobs. Their houses were attacked. It was mayhem for a long time.